The last time we discussed Sean Penn on this podcast, on the Film Buff podcast, and I guess in true Film Buff fashion, it's wonderful when things go full circle. 2016, Angry Birds. The Angry Birds movie is the last time we had the Sean Penn performance. I didn't even bring it up because there's other things to discuss about the Angry Birds movie. We have Asphalt City. Now, was it released in 2023? Was this movie released in 2024? It doesn't matter. It's available right now on Hulu, and it's a Palme d'Or nominee. Now, we have Sheridan, we have Sean Penn, we have a cast. We have two actors that know what they're doing, and we're here for it. This movie is visceral, it's realistic, it's gritty. If you're watching HBO's The Pitt, this movie is The Pitt on cocaine, on crack, on meth. This movie sticks to your ribs, it doesn't leave you, and there's good reasons for it. There's a lot to discuss. I'm going to try and keep this one brief, but guys, welcome back to the show of shows. We're talking Asphalt City. Let's go.
Quiet on the set.
Camera speed.
Sound production. Take one.
Action.
It's tough to keep intros under 1 hour. I almost said 1 hour. It's hard to keep intros under 1 minute. But AKAPADers, yeah, it blew me away because I was just going through Sean Penn's recent filmography. And I forget that he was in Licorice Pizza, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Now, I saw him in another 2023 movie, Daddy-O. According to Sean Penn's filmography, this movie came out in 2023. Some Google searches will say 2024. He's in another movie in 2023 called Gonzo Girl. Never heard of it. His recent filmography is something to be desired. Sheridan. Now, I got him mixed up with the guy, the actor from Saltburn. I'm not even going to mention who it is. Mud is a movie, 2012. He goes back to that. We discussed that. We were doing a little bit of a Matthew McConaughey deep dive in, roughly a year ago. I discovered him and his performance in that movie. Now, later in 2013, he does a movie with Matthew McConaughey called Mud. He follows it up. The 2 3-letter word movies with a movie called Joe with Nicolas Cage. That's another fantastic movie. And we really want to say we were all disappointed when he wasn't cast as Cyclops in the current Avengers Doomsday announcement. To me, he is 100% capable of doing that role. I don't know why they want to cast him, but they used James Marsden. They're really leaning in on that Fox X-Men universe. Who the hell cares? But previously, we discussed him on Ready Player One. Which, oh my god, like just thinking back, I think I recorded that episode in the car with my sister post Easter Sunday. And he's in 2024, The Order. I've seen this come up on my feed. Oh, the 2021 Tender Bar. I believe that might have been directed by Ben Affleck. He's the kid in that. He's fantastic in that. The Card Counter. Also, Sheridan is in just a lot of good movies, my AKAPADers. And also, The Tree of Life, the Terrence Malick movie, which I haven't seen, and I've been on a little bit of a Terrence Malick deep dive. Expect Song to Song to come up. Maybe I'll just shift gears and watch Tree of Life. Sorry, guys, I am meandering. So this movie is directed by Jean-Stéphane Sauvaire. It's a French boy, I believe. I believe he's French. Is he Dutch? It's hard to tell with some of these pronunciations. So he was born in 1968, Paris, France. Who nailed it? So he's made one other movie that I'm kind of sort of familiar with, and it has a perfect title, 2017, A Prayer Before Dawn. He hasn't made a lot of movies. It looks like he's mostly made documentaries, short films, and foreign flicks. What is this? He produced the 2011 Heat Wave. I don't know. Johnny Mad Dog. AKA Powders. I'm drawing a blank. But if this is an introduction to someone, let this movie be it. Because this movie, now it reminded me, there's parts of this movie, it reminded me of Martin Scorsese's and cycling back to Nicolas Cage. There's a movie with Nicolas Cage and John Goodman called Bringing Out the Dead, which is about how manic being an EMT is. Emergency Medical Technician. I know EMTs. I party with some of them in Philly. They are like all go. They really don't have two gears. It's either you see them, they're out, their hair's on fire, they're running around, or they're sleeping or working. Asphalt City has a death scene. I don't want to spoil who dies in this movie. We also have Michael Pitt in this movie. I've loved him since Larry Clark's Kids. Michael Pitt again like bleeds into the. Before we get into the death, I just have to say every single performance in this movie feels like a documentary. It feels like we're invading a little bit of this personal space, a little bit of this private time. I feel like we're eavesdropping. The violence in this movie is there. Now, it doesn't mean the movie's violent. It just means what we see on screen. Everything just feels real. I suspect that they've recruited real people with real problems, like real street people from LA's Skid Row, or here in Philly, people from Kensington, which is now the East Coast equivalent to what Skid Row was in the 90s and in 2000s. I believe most people now compare all of LA now to Skid Row. I don't know. I haven't been there recently. There's this casting, though, that is the secret weapon in this movie. The people that they are working on, the people that they're trying to help, we don't know if those patients are acting or not. We don't know if these are real people and they just rolled the cameras and threw Ty Sheridan and Sean Penn into the fray. It's that real. It's that realistic. It's visceral. I felt like, just let's bring in another movie reference. I felt like I was in Ready Player One. Like I'm wearing goggles and I'm in this world. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I try and be nice to Ready Player One. You guys know how I feel about that. So we have this death in this movie, my AKA Powders, that is absolutely shocking. It sticks to your ribs. It doesn't leave you. And it's so good, like, on a thematic sense. I want to, like, it's almost like a little bit like a drug. Like, I want to experience it again because the shock of it. And I have a feeling every time I rewatch this movie, I'm going to try and, like, two things. I don't want the death to happen, so I'm going to hope that something happens differently in the movie. So we call that here the La La Land effect, where every time I watch La La Land, I want a different ending. I root that I'm somehow mistaken, and I'm going to question, where does the acting begin and end when it comes to a lot of these patients? Those two parts make this movie infinitely rewatchable. Michael Pitt comes in like mid-movie, aka Powders. He comes in and it just seems like he's also just off the street, and I don't know what secret sauce that these guys are drinking, what was in the water. How do you get this air, this attitude? It seems like the entire set is method acting. Now, on top of that, we have fantastic cinematography by David Ungaro. I hate these last names. Insane cinematography, where the camera is on the hood of the ambulance. It's inside the ambulance. It rotates around it. We sometimes just feel like they're driving and talking. It doesn't feel like that they're on the rig. It doesn't feel like that they're, sometimes you see how film sets are. It's like a pickup truck. There's a rig that the pickup truck is pulling. There's the ambulance. It's like a shell, and like the entire camera just takes up the whole front end of the ambulance. And it's fun sometimes when you see the behind the scenes like that, because you always say to yourself, you're like, wow, like that's how it's done. The ambulance driving scene. So I want to say, bringing out the dead, in my view, was a clear starting point for this movie. I think there was a lot done at the time for bringing out the dead, technically, and how Scorsese likes to shoot, namely what he likes to shoot on film-wise, that limited some of what they could do on set. We're in the digital age now, and things can get improved and expanded on. I feel like the production crew was aware of that, because I think this movie is it's a force to be reckoned with. It's a tour de force. It should not be ignored. It's available right now on Hulu. I haven't seen the trend top 10 at all on Hulu, but AKAPAD, as from one film buff to another buffer out there, you guys gonna buff with me? This is a must-watch movie. This is a movie that you have to experience. I feel like this is one of the best movies to come out in recent years. It upsets me that I feel like the world passed this movie over, but we don't do that here. We pay attention. If you make something, I will be there for it. And I think we're developing a little bit of a new motto for this podcast. Like, if you make it, I will watch it. Let's go, guys. I love you. Rock and roll.
Okay, that's a wrap.